Realtors are so guilty of being a jack of all trades. I want to help everyone. I want to help the investor. I want to help the first time home buyer. Like, I don't want to say no to business, especially when you're new in the business. You're like, why would I say no to any business? So when we talk about YouTube, if you want to be successful, you've got to know who you are and you've got to know who your niche is. And your niche for YouTube doesn't have to be your sole only niche, but you need to really dial down. I've found success with myself and my clients when they know what their niche is. So I have a client who helps out young families, helps out localized, like just localized moves,
Yeah.
and also out of town moves. And I said, you know what you need to do though? Your channel just needs to be focused on one thing. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get other business, but you got to just focus on, if your videos that are doing best are the ones moving to your city, you need to dial down into that. Now she's like, well, I don't want to lose the other business. I'm like, you're not going to lose the other business. You're actually going to gain more traction because YouTube now understands what your channel is all about. YouTube doesn't understand the realtor ADD.
Hey, Jack Lehr down in Lehr's Lair. I'm excited to bring my special guest all the way from Canada, specifically Edmonton, Alberta. Welcome, Melody Wilson.
Thank you, Jack, for having me, and good job on pronouncing Edmonton. It's not that hard, but
I was almost going to ask you how to, pronounce or say your last name.
Oh yeah, funny. Well, you got Edmonton. I think that's harder than my last name, actually.
I'm picking. We were at an event, we spoke together, and we had a little bit of fun, or somebody did anyways, but you got to watch that video. So Melody, we got to know each other a little bit in the Tom Ferry world, but more specifically at an event out in San Diego, and we got to speak together and be a part of a forum. And your expertise is like YouTube. There's a lot of stuff that you're really incredible at, but like YouTube is one of them, right?
Right, yeah. So I love coaching. I was part of the Tom Ferry coaching world as a coach as well. And
Okay.
I love doing the overall coaching. It's part of my business background.
Yeah.
But yeah, YouTube has been something that everyone is all about video, but they're trying to figure out, well, how do I get in on it? And so I think from my success as a realtor, it helps me as a coach, right? Because I'm actually giving tactical things that you as an agent can do with, oh, she did it, so I can do it. I'm all about being duplicatable.
And I do want to get into that. So like you're pretty techie.
Yep.
You like systems and
Pretty
processes.
Yep.
Okay.
Bit of a nerd.
Well, listen, the nerd in my world is a term of endearment. I got a couple sons that are nerds.
Yes.
I love nerds.
Nerds rule the world.
They definitely do. Like I'm just sitting back going, wow, these people are incredibly smart. So Melody, let's talk a little bit about like your background in real estate. How'd you get into it?
So how I got into it is my dad actually is a realtor. So I'm a second generation, and my oldest child is almost 16. And I got into it as soon as I had the baby, thinking, oh, I'll stay at home with the kid. I didn't know myself very well back then. I thought I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. And a few months in, I thought, oh my gosh, my brain is getting so mushy. And if you're a mom and listening, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and realized I need to do something. And so my dad, being a realtor, said, hey, why don't you be my assistant? But you got to get your license. Now, here's a fun fact. I was paid $5 an hour. This is not 1970, by the way. This was 15 years ago, 16 years ago. The average minimum wage was not $5 an hour, but I was just trying to do something to get out of the house and challenge my brain. I wasn't actually looking to get into real estate. But the odd thing is that as I got into it, I didn't do any of the traditional building a business because I was just trying to help my dad.
Okay.
But people got wind that I was now licensed and was contacting me to help them buy a house. So it just kind of happened. And then everyone kept saying, like, what are you doing? You're a new agent. How are you getting your business? And I didn't have an answer for them. It was just people were calling me.
So they were calling you. So your dad was in it. Do you think they were calling you because they knew you were associated with your dad, or do you think it was like what's the reason?
I don't know. I think back in 2007, 8, that world, it was very different. There wasn't social media like we have today.
Yeah.
So I wrote like letters. Do you remember this? Like you write letters to let everyone know of your new career change, and you put it in the actual physical mailbox. Did all the old school stuff is what my brokerage had taught me to do.
Okay.
And I think honestly, if I think about it, I feel like maybe they chose to reach out to me because most people at that time, they didn't maybe know anyone, and they're like, oh, I know Melody. Now everyone knows like 5 or 10 realtors. But way
At
back
least.
when,
Yeah.
the population of realtors was a lot lower than it is today.
So that makes a big difference. And then we want to get deep into the YouTube part of it and the video, because that's a great way to build a business. But I think there's some other stuff that you've done to like really grow your career and improve upon your craft. And your Phil Jones Exactly What to Say certified
Guide. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
How has that helped you?
So I started with Certified Guide because I felt like it would be a good complement to my coaching business.
Okay.
So I have my real estate business that I've been running for over 15, 16 years. The primary source of business there is Sphere and YouTube and referral. And as I started delving into the coaching world, I wanted to figure out, how do I help agents? How to bring value to them? I've received so much from the real estate industry. How do I give back to it? So the coaching world, when I got a taste of it, when I worked with Tom Ferry for a little bit, was I love seeing change. And so as I was experiencing being coached on the other side, I realized, okay, there's a few disconnects. There's realtors that want success, but they don't do the thing, right? Like the coach is like, here's the thing. They're like, okay. And then next call, nothing. Next call, nothing. So I was trying to think, what are tactical things? And one of the things was Exactly What to Say. Exactly What to Say is a very practical tool to help you hone in on your sales craft, because I feel like the sales craft has basically dropped. Everyone's been so focused, hyper focused on video and TikToks and short form video. They've forgotten the power of words, because I was, when I was building my YouTube business, my one friend said to me, well, you just get the good leads. What does that even mean? We both get leads, but what are you saying to your leads? Well, don't even call them leads. They're people, right? So when they're contacting you, how are you responding to them? How are you emailing them? What are you saying to them? Exactly What to Say, I felt, was a really good compliment, because everyone's maybe familiar with the book, and maybe familiar with the Exactly What to Say for Agents book. So the magic words and all those types of things. But if you've ever sat in on any of his personal certification, you're going to learn that these words, there's more to the words than just the words. There's a whole psychology, and the whole essence is curiosity is the fuel to great conversations. So that actually like really steamed, or I don't know what you want to call it. It just perpetuated the thoughts of, when I'm coaching, when I'm trying to help people, I need to be curious. I need to always be curious. I mean, it works also as a parent, if I was just a little bit more curious with my kids instead of getting upset, I could maybe understand things better. And again, that's part of I had a self-awareness journey in 2018, and I started getting into the Enneagram world, and I became a certified Enneagram coach, because that's a self-awareness tool. Because what I saw that disconnect was, people don't know who they are. So how can they get over their hangups if they don't even know what their hangups are? Right? They're just like, oh, I want to do video just like this person, or, oh, yeah, I have to do video. But then for whatever reason, they don't do it. And they've always got some sort of excuse, but the excuses are always different, because everyone's wired differently. Yeah. And I think that was a huge tool for me when I understand, hey, this is how I'm wired. Let's stop fighting against it and work with it, instead of, oh, I need to be less me, because I'm very high energy, and I might not be that loud energy you see on the stage, but I have a lot of energy. And so it's like, I don't need to be less of me. I just need to know how to distribute my energies. If that makes sense.
And I really wanted to be the one to say Enneagram before you did here today, because I don't know how to correctly pronounce it. But I think that's something that's important to understand, is like the disc profile. A lot of folks are familiar with that. There's a certain level of depth to it, but the Enneagram, you can dig a heck of a lot deeper to learn more about yourself, to know like how to deal with others.
Yeah. And the disc is, I mean, it's very simple concept, right? 4 DISC. And you can probably identify clients and your peers really quickly with it. The Enneagram based on your fears, your core fears and your core motivations. So it's very difficult to take a proper testing for it because, Jack, if your core fear is to be loved, and you're not aware of that, you're not going to pay attention to it. You're not going to check that off. You're not going to know how to test for it. And so all these core fears that they have, the 9 core fears, they're quite, I mean, nobody wants them. They're everyone's fears, but one of them is going to make you feel super uncomfortable. And you're going to go, no, that's not me. But actually, it probably is you. So it's a whole journey. And as realtors, we're so busy all the time, helping everybody else. We're not paying attention to ourselves. We're not paying attention to our physical health or emotional health. So, I'm talking about all these things, and I'll give you an umbrella. Like, my coaching is based off of marketing, sales, and systems. So I believe that there's the 3-part system that you need to have all 3, right? I can't just be that systems nerd, because that's not going to do anything. And if I just do marketing and I don't know what to say, or don't have systems to take in all that influx, I'm going to get overwhelmed and not have deals. So that's kind of why I end up having these like different pockets of specialties, if that makes sense.
It does. And I think that one thing that, you're talking about everybody being on the go, whether you're in real estate sales or you're just in life general, we need to slow down to speed up. I mean, understand ourselves so that we can better help others. Yeah. And when we don't deal with the things that we're, that are deep inside, whether it be, mom and dad chirping in the ear or other things that shaped us, it makes it very difficult to be able to help others.
Yeah. Well, and some of us are high functioning, I don't know, ignoring the back end. Like you're mentioning childhood memories and how childhood shapes you. The Enneagram covers that as well. So they'll talk about like, if you're a type 4 in childhood, this is maybe what your childhood looked like. It's kind of it's very, very in depth. Like it's ridiculously in depth. So it's a lot of work, self-work, but I think it's important because people like to go, oh, I'm going to figure out what type I am. And then they like wear it as a badge of honor. But the real true essence of self-awareness is learning about all the types so that you know how to get along with all the types and you can be sensitive and empathetic. Now, this goes back also to Phil Jones' little triangle of you need to be curious enough to gain context before you can then become empathetic. You cannot just be empathetic out of nowhere.
Yeah. And again, we're kind of coming back to the exactly what to say is you have that curiosity and you're asking those questions again to gain empathy. But when you're having those so Melody, like when you're having conversations with a potential coaching client, somebody you're coaching, are you like getting extra curious to dig in like what they're dealing with like right now or like what they've dealt with? Like how do you get into that with one of your clients?
So when you do like a discovery call with me, I definitely get curious on all of the things. And we use the Enneagram as like a starting point, right? In terms of where are they at? Because I also have to figure out where are they at themselves in terms of their own self-awareness journey. Are they like completely oblivious to who they are, how they will operate, or are they functioning somewhat in the middle, or they're actually quite aware of where they're at? Because that's going to make a difference in terms of what kind of coaching they need, how open they are, that kind of stuff. So being curious enough, I think it's always important to know all the things, like you said, past, present, and future, because you're a realtor. It's a funny business that we're in, because when you're coaching realtors, you're not just coaching their business, you're coaching their entire life, because real estate seeps into all of life. It's just like it's very weird, right? Like when you're on a team, you're very involved with those agents. It's not just an employee that comes into your office, does his 9 to 5 work and goes home. Like you are very involved. Most teams I know are very integrated with like the life of their teammates.
Yeah, they are.
It's like a lifestyle.
It definitely is. So like if I became a coaching client with Melody, I would do the Enneagram test to discover like what my core fears are, right?
It's not a test, so you basically do a discovery call with me.
Okay.
And we kind of go through the Enneagram basics. And then I also just find out like, hey, what's going on with your business? What's your biggest pain point? Right? Because your pain point's going to be different than someone else's pain point. And then your pain point's going to display differently than someone else's. Like it looks like something, but really it's down here. And so that's what I learned when I was doing one-to-one coaching with Tom Ferry, was that one-to-one aspect. Now I do a lot of group coaching.
Okay.
So group coaching, when we do YouTube group coaching, I acknowledge that the self-awareness piece, but we talk a lot more tactical, right? So 4-week group coaching that I'm just wrapping up, it's like basically when you start it, by the time you're done, even if you didn't do homework, because I know realtors always have this excuse of no homework. So I'm like, I don't care if you even do your homework, just be present, turn your phone away for 1 hour, have another screen open, let's work. And then they're going to come out with an actual YouTube channel if they haven't created one, or they're going to come out with like an optimized YouTube channel, because I feel like everyone takes classes and courses or they buy them and they feel good about buying things, but then they never take it, or if they take it, they don't implement it. Just like conferences, right? Like the conference we were at, tons of people like downloaded that YouTube channel setup guide. And I don't know if they've set up their YouTube channel from that, right? Like probably not. So that's what I really want people to move from, just like absorbing. We're so information, like Instagram, TikTok, there's so much information, YouTube, everywhere. And you don't know what to do with anything. And that's part of my coaching, is like making sure that I'm like the concierge. You don't need to do all of the things. Here is the curated pieces of work you need to do. Yeah. Just do these things and you'll be fine. Versus, I mean, there's always something new, always. And there's always, and it's my job as a coach to that's why I want to still continue being a practicing realtor, because I want to be practicing and knowing what's going on in the industry and trying things out. So for example, Tammy Price talks a lot about Google My Business or Google Business. That's a huge opportunity. Again, I don't know if you see the trend. I mean, I shouldn't say cheap, affordable business operation, where it's like YouTube and Google are organic. You're not paying tons of money. I don't play in the Google pay-per-click area or the field. I used to when I had a team. And I like attracting my tribe as a realtor. And I think most realtors would like to attract people that want to work with them versus begging people to work with you. The 10 days of pain or gain or whatever you want to call it. You're like, you're begging them, you're trying to earn their trust, versus it's completely opposite in the YouTube world.
Let's get into that a little bit. I think the one thing that we chatted about prior to getting on the podcast here today was like being me, being yourself. There's some incredible YouTubers that are in our world, like, and we're friends with a lot of them, whether it's the Brad McCallums in the luxury market up in Canada, or like there's just a lot of them. Jesse Peters is another guy that I love watching, and it's being Melody, it's being Jack, it's being yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about that.
So, I mean, again, it goes back to, do you know who you are? And also, in addition to knowing who you are, do you know who you're trying to attract? Realtors are so guilty of being a jack of all trades. I want to help everyone. I want to help the investor. I want to help the first-time home buyer. Like, I don't want to say no to business, especially when you're new in the business. You're like, why would I say no to any business? So when we talk about YouTube, if you want to be successful, you've got to know who you are and you've got to know who your niche is. And your niche for YouTube doesn't have to be your sole only niche, but you need to really dial down. I've found success with myself and my clients when they know what their niche is. So I have a client who helps out young families, helps out localized, like just localized moves, and also out of town moves. And I said, you know what you need to do though? Your channel just needs to be focused on one thing. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get other business, but you got to just focus on, if your videos that are doing best are the ones moving to your city, you need to dial down into that. Now she's like, well, I don't want to lose the other business. I'm like, you're not going to lose the other business. You're actually going to gain more traction because YouTube now understands what your channel is all about. YouTube doesn't understand the realtor ADD, where we're like posting things all over. Because on my channel, I have like food in Edmonton, things to do, all these things I started when I was trying video, right? I tried video back in 2016 when Tom Ferry was like, you need to do video, and gave us a selfie stick. I'm like, I guess I better start making videos.
Yeah.
And people get all hung up of, oh, well, I need the right camera. I need the right script. I need the right this and that. I'm like, no, you just need to put video out and you'll learn and improve as it goes along. My videos, for the most part, were an iPhone 10. And Brad made fun of me because he didn't make fun of me. He was like, Melody, please get yourself a better mic. Because I had this like long mic that was not wireless, like connected on the screen. But guess what? Those videos got me subscribers and they got me clients. So even though I don't have 10,000 subscribers, although I am pushing towards that goal,
yeah,
I get clients. I get like a good amount of clients in the last couple of years. And we've been making over 100,000 in GCI every year from YouTube, just about being consistent. And that's why like stop getting hung up over like equipment, right? Like just, you don't need to have, I tried the whole like dark background with the lights and everything that everyone does. And I'm like, that's not me. Like, I look like I'm standing in the dark talking. Like, I just need to do what I'm comfortable with. And the people that contact you, they're the same people. Like, they're all my kind of people. And my kind of people, I know in the States, you guys can't specialize or say out loud because of your competition rules, but like at my channel is like living in Edmonton for families. So it's families. There's a picture of my family. There's videos that are family focused. When I do my market stats, I talk directly to families. And I would think that you would still be able to do that in the US. Just, you got to be creative in how you're talking.
It's the presentation, and
Yeah.
But I think that's really important. Okay, so done is better than perfect, but then there's the ability to perfect it after you like start doing it, get way better.
Yeah.
But everybody does, like, they get focused on all, and especially the ADHDs or ADDs of us. Like, I'm one of them. We see a YouTube class and they say, hey, you should get this camera, you should get that. Next thing you know, you're $10,000 into a production and you haven't even shot a video yet.
I found that when I had done all these videos and I'm like, well, I'm getting good business. Maybe it's time to invest in a camera outside of my phone. I actually started filming less when I had the camera versus my phone, because the phone was just so easy. So, I mean, now I've like retrained myself that's now my new habit. But in any of my coaching, you're never going to see me talking about equipment, because I don't want to give it. There's so many people out there. There's so many places you can Google to find an equipment list. You really shouldn't give it, especially if you haven't even done video, right? Like, just start filming. And the perfection, the progress comes from repetition. It's the reps. Going to the gym. I don't do that anymore, but when you go to the gym, the more reps you do, the easier it becomes. And then you have to change it up. Otherwise, that workout doesn't work out the same anymore. But if you've not worked out that YouTube muscle, the filming muscle, why on earth are you grabbing the 200-pound deadlift when you haven't even done 50? Like, it's just, you're out of your element in terms of, you're like, you've paid. I've also heard of realtors hiring videographers that cost so much money. And then they're like, how do we sustain this? How do we do a video every single week? Well, I don't know. That's why I didn't do that. Now I do have my kids involved now. My 15-year-old has been doing my video editing for 5 years.
Right.
So that's that whole, I talk about like work life. I heard about this in San Diego as well. Work-life integration. Not work-life balance, work-life integration. And having my children, my 13-year-old runs my admin backend and my 15-year-old runs my marketing. Like, that's integration. My kids are working with me. It's literally a family business. When going back to, I think you talked about my dad, did people come to me because of my dad did not give me any business at all. And we actually parted ways within 3 months of working with each other. And I went on my own. Typical firstborn child, right? I could do it better. And I ended up, because of me seeing the lack of systems. Now, he's a really good salesperson. Lack of systems, lack of marketing. So hence the reason why I've been thinking a lot about how can someone be so successful without systems and marketing? Well, they're capped at their success, right? They can't keep going. And my business always just kept doing this. That's the problem when you are coaching with Tom Ferry. You do continue to keep rising, right? So it's like, why does this work? Well, because you're working on all these other things. And I have a business now that if I wanted to pass to my children, I've created that. Whereas if you're just a salesperson, you're selling. You're not necessarily going, how do I send this over? Do I have confidence to bring on an assistant or another agent? I think a lot of agents, they're overwhelmed and they're like, I need an assistant. So they hire someone, and that poor somebody, if they're not from the real estate industry, they have no idea what they're getting themselves into, because most agents don't know how to train that assistant. They just go, I've hired you, you figure it out. But everything's urgent.
Right.
So that poor assistant has nothing to go off of. And because they're so organized, they don't know how to deal with like bringing that chaos into organized chaos.
So I think this thing is the easiest thing to make an investment in. You already have the phone. They all have a pretty solid camera, like, 30K or whatever the heck it is.
They're way more powerful
4K,
than
8K, but you have this HD and don't even need that. And like, say I'm new to video and I say, Melody, what are some true tactical things I can do to start growing opportunities? I call opportunities, or a lot of folks define that as a lead, but what can I do to create more leads or opportunities in my life if I want to start doing video and get on YouTube today?
So first thing I had mentioned earlier, know who you're talking to. Like, you have to know that niche, because if you don't know it, you're not going to know what the videos need to be about.
And
the second thing,
can we give some specific
niches?
Yeah.
So maybe you're focused on military.
Okay.
Military moves. So then your content's going to be all featured around things that military families want to know about when they're moving to your city, or any special incentives that the government has for military. Another niche could be upsize, downsize, first-time home buyers. So those are all like pretty big niches, but you can even dial it down even further to be first-time home buyer millennials. The further the more niche you become, the better it is for YouTube, right? Because if you're doing video content just for first-time home buyer millennials, you're going to be talking about a whole bunch of different things than if you're talking to a baby boomer who's like downsizing. Those are two totally different audiences that are watching. And so once you figured out your niche, that's the first step. The second step is then if you want to be consistent, go to your calendar and put in a time every single week. I'd say start off at least with an hour, because I think that's 1 hour is easy enough for you to be like, that's an appointment. Don't break that appointment. You wouldn't break an appointment with a client. And every hour you're spending that time to do your planning. So what I do is I spend time to like plan out the content and then script out my content. By the way, ChatGPT is your friend to help you save a ton of time.
And then you're putting on the calendar, you're blocking that time. That's the consistency part.
Yeah. And it's like a system, right? Like, this is what I do each year at this time of year in the fall. I look at my plan for the new year.
Yeah.
I look at my niche, look at my focus, and go, these are the themes. These are the buckets. You might have heard about buckets. Buckets are things that you can make it really easy for planning. So there's 4 weeks in a month, pick 4 buckets, try them out. You may end up going, this one performs way better, this one doesn't. Then you might want to get rid of that one and change it. But then what you do is it makes it so much easier to plan, because if you've got your buckets, you've got your niche. Now you're like, hey, ChatGPT, what video should I do about the pros and cons of blah, blah, blah for this specific target market? It'll churn out not only ideas for you, but you can say, please write me a video script. Please write me 10 speaking points. Please give me a B-roll shot list, so that you can, you can use Canva for B-roll. It's so much easier to do video and video editing now. But if you create that system of planning, create that system and time in your calendar to record. And I always find, like, make it easy to record. So have some places that are like your go-to places to record. My 3 go-to places in my house is in my office, in my kitchen, and in my living room. They're always they're always ready to go. They're always camera ready. So you can go in there with your phone to do an Instagram story, or you can plop the phone on a tripod and like hit play. And I had it where, not now, but I used to have this like one stand where I like had the camera, the lights, everything's attached to one thing, and I just had to push the button. So now I also made it easier for myself because I'd have my kid, because I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do the boring stuff. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to record video. Can you go set my stuff up? He'd set it up so I could keep focused on work. And then as soon as it was ready, I'd go there, hit record, and start filming all the videos that I had already pre-prepared. And the preparation is important, not just for what am I going to talk about, but if you want your video to track on YouTube, you've got to do some keyword research. You've got to see what people are searching for and know how to say it on the video instead of just saying it. Sometimes we have realtors, we have our own language.
Oh yeah.
You need to figure out what the actual public language is. And so once you do those things, that'll actually like make your channel pop in terms of like consistency and content. And you can grab that content and repurpose it in all of your other things, LinkedIn, Google Update, Facebook, Instagram. Don't share the link. Just take those raw pieces and repurpose them for the platform that you're putting it on.
Because the platforms don't like you doing that, right? They want you to have their own content for that particular platform.
Well, think about this. If you're on Instagram and someone does, for whatever reason, click your link, chances are they're probably not going to watch the whole thing. And YouTube will penalize you for having such a short watch time. Because think about Instagram, people's attention span is like, what, 5 seconds now, some of those reels?
Yeah. So
if you click on the thing and watch it for 2 seconds and get out of it, YouTube's like, oh, that video's not doing well. I'm not going to keep pushing it out. Yeah. So if you want to promote the YouTube, you'd like take a snippet, reformat it for Instagram, and say, check out my YouTube channel, link in bio. And they go to your link in bio to go to your actual YouTube. Because if they're actually going to take that effort, they're probably going to watch it.
So like doing keyword research, where do you do that at?
So keyword research, I've used keywords everywhere. But you can also just go to like, YouTube or the Google search bar. And when you start typing something and it starts to auto-populate results, start seeing what those are that are coming up. And also do that incognito. If you're in Google Chrome, you can do that incognito. Because the thing is, if you're not incognito, it's just going to search up what you search.
It's what we've searched. We want to do it. You're right.
Yeah.
So they say that like thumbnails are very important for
100%.
You. Do you put keywords in that?
No, I don't usually load. Like, you don't want to overload. The keywords are important, probably in the title.
Okay.
But the thumbnail, it's all about less is more. So 5 words or less. Now, I just experimented with this one video. So my son was playing around and researching thumbnails. What you do is you find thumbnails that work, and then you have templates of them so you can keep changing them out. Again, you want to make it duplicatable so it's not a ton of work, right? But he went on to, like, for example, I don't know if you know who Mr. Beast is. You have kids, you probably know who Mr. Beast is. And that video channel obviously has a lot of authority. Most of us don't have that kind of YouTube authority. However, there's still things that you can learn from it. And so he did a thumbnail for me recently, and there's no text on it. It's me pulling my hair out because for whatever reason, that seems to do better. Like me smiling or doing this or whatever. It's like me getting flustered apparently is doing well on my channel. And now don't forget, it works on my channel, it might not work on yours. It depends on who's watching. But that click-through rate for that one is 6.7% after it was uploaded on Friday. And it started off at 15%. So when it starts high, that's good because it will always peter off and like plateau. But it's one of our highest performing videos. For the first 4 days, we have 2,000 views, which is a lot higher than most of our videos. Yeah. And we have, it's ranking by views 1 out of 10. So it's like doing really well. And a huge part of the click-through rate is that thumbnail.
Okay. So when they click through, where does that go?
When they click, it goes to the video.
Okay.
So if you have a really attractive thumbnail, you click it, and then your video content sucks or you don't deliver what you said you're going to do, your watch time is really low. And so you don't want that. You want to make sure you deliver. the picture of me is just like, and then a picture of the city in the background. And the video is called House Prices in Edmonton.
Okay.
But that you can't technically.
So they're watching the video.
Yeah.
And like, do they reach out to you? Like, what does that look like next?
So this is the interesting thing, because in the Google pay-per-click world, you can track and measure kind of everything because they're on the website. You can reach out to them. You can see how often they're on the website. YouTube is a little bit of a guessing game because they don't necessarily reach out to you right away, and you don't necessarily see it right away. What I've seen in terms of patterns, sometimes they'll go to my Instagram and follow me. I won't know this though, right? Like I won't know until they actually send me a DM. They'll send me an email, they'll phone me. And what else do? They actually do go to my website. So because I don't pay for pay-per-click, I know that the leads coming in from my website are from YouTube because I don't do any other sort of promotion. I don't pay for promotion.
Yeah.
So, and I don't do the whole like, okay, you signed up for my website, now you get an email and then another email and another one. I just let them do their thing because these leads are amazing. They'll send you an inquiry on Friday. I won't respond till Monday. They will say, wow, thank you so much for getting back to me so soon.
What?
Now, a little different than the pay-per-click world, where if you don't get back to them in the first 10 seconds of them registering, you've lost them.
They're on to something else. Yeah.
Yeah. But whereas they're like, wait, and in the boom of our market a year and a half, 2 years ago, I'm like, I'm full. I can't take any more clients. I don't have a team, right? And I said, but I'm systematized enough to know that I'll be free in 2 weeks. And so they're like, okay, we'll wait. So I had a waiting list. I had like a whole pipeline of a waiting list of buyers ready to go.
Wow.
So, and this you can get sellers as well too. Some people think you can only get buyers from YouTube. You can get sellers.
Okay.
And they come from my market stats. And so you're wondering, oh, how soon do they come? Well, the wife told me that the husband's been watching me for 4 years. So that is, it's like the perfect, if you think about it, it's like the perfect tool because I don't have to send him drips. I don't have to reach out to him all the time and text him and call him when he's not ready. He subscribed to my channel and he's getting notifications of new videos every week. So that's like that automation, right? Instead of me emailing him. And then he reached out when he was ready.
I mean, I think that's the big thing is that when they reach out to you, you've already built trust.
Yeah.
And then like you're kind of a celebrity.
Yeah. It's weird.
So when you get together with them and they reach out to you and say, hey, Melody, like, I've been watching you for 4 years and like, we know that we want to sell our home. Can you help us out?
Yeah.
So you get together with them and like, what does that sound like when you're talking to them?
Well, they don't usually tell me that they watch me that long. They do sometimes say to me, we've been watching your videos. Thanks so much for the help, right? Yeah. But we'd like to hire you. We'd like to hire you to sell, or we'd like you hire you to buy. So these are come list me calls or come help me buy calls. These are not ones that you have to earn. Now, I'm a firm believer that you should always act like you need to earn the business. We talked about this earlier. Always be curious. Always. You never know. And I was talking to that one guy, the one that we were talking about where he watched me for 4 years. And he was telling me that he had met other realtors. Like I didn't actually prompt him for that, but it was almost like felt like he was cheating on me. So he was like telling me all these things and I'm like, oh, that's fine. But he had this horrible experience with 2 other agents that he was interviewing.
Yeah.
And he's like, by the way, we're not interviewing anymore. Like I should have just called you first. So it's not always first and foremost. I mean, I had $1 million listing come to me from him watching one market stats video. So there wasn't that long tenure. So they all look different. And they're all willing to, the big commonality is they know that they don't necessarily get to work with you. That's another thing. So for any team leads that are watching, like if you're not doing YouTube, you really need to be doing YouTube because it's a way to generate business to build your team without it costing an arm and a leg. And it's so competitive when you're playing that Google pay-per-click ad world, right? So they definitely are happy to like work with my mortgage broker, work with the agent I've referred them to. They're actually surprised if I do answer my phone. They're like, oh, they didn't expect to get me actually answering the phone. So that gives me a lot of insight in terms of how I can build up my systems with YouTube.
So you offer a course to be able to help folks, and you're also a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like, talk a little bit about like the course. Is that a one-on-one? Is it a group coaching?
So YouTube is a group coaching class. It's a 4-week class.
Okay.
And it's only offered a few times in the year. So we just wrapped up one. And I really like it because it keeps you focused and you only need to be there for 4 weeks. Now everything's recorded. You have access to the whole platform. You've got all the resources and homework and tactical things. But I literally, that's my biggest MO is like, I want you to leave from, if you're listening to this conversation, I hope you find one thing that you can apply, because I don't want you to take another course and then do nothing with it.
And
So
that's a big thing. Like, as again, we're a bunch of cats being herded, and it's easy to chase the LED light being shined all over the place. Like, we're looking on Instagram, we're looking on TikTok, we're going, oh my gosh, like this person is great on YouTube, I'm going to buy this course, and then they ever use it.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of money spent on that type of stuff, and I'm one of them. Wow,
I don't want people to buy my course. Like, so also that YouTube class is also limited space.
Okay.
I will not have more than 8 people in that class, because if I have more than that, you will not get as much value. So
there's a lot of attention to you if you sign up with your course.
Because if you're looking for knowledge, I have a YouTube channel. Now, that's not as developed as my realtor one, obviously, but it's all the free stuff is there because I'm happy to give you stuff for free. I also teach on Real Academies. Like, if you're part of Real Broker, then you'll have access to all that information. It's all there so that you can access it. But if you want to actually see change, you kind of need to make an investment in yourself, right? But I'm still a practicing agent, so I cannot be available 24/7. And that's why I have it offered a few times throughout the year. Like, my next one that I'm offering for group coaching is systems. Okay. How to create, it's like so non-sexy, but it was one of my most popular attended classes in Real Academy because everyone knows they should have systems, but they don't know where to start or how to do it.
And is that systems for as being a real estate professional, or what is?
Yes.
Okay.
How to put systems into play for you as a real estate agent. Beautiful. So how do you build your tech stack? How do you create automations? How do you even just put order to, like, for example, the easiest thing to say is, what do you do from a buyer from A to Z? What do you do with the seller A to Z? What is your systems and processes? What is your lead system? How are you generating business? Is there a system to that? All those types of things have to be created. And so that's what that goes into. It's not very sexy like video, but it's like, I feel like the result of it is extremely sexy because it gives you your life back.
Yeah. You can leverage others. You can have the systems in place to be able to certainly shrink time and be able to help way more people when you have those proper systems in place.
Yeah. Or hang out with your family.
Yeah.
Like, now I don't have to be at my computer and that's the thing, because I'm a tech nerd, there's so many, like, before you delegate it to a person, see if you can automate it. But actually, before automating it, maybe you should throw in the trash. That's part of that 4-hour work week that influenced me a lot in the early years, is maybe the stuff you're doing, some of it can just be trash. Like, it doesn't even need to be around anymore. Then you automate, then you delegate, right? Don't delegate something that could be automated, and don't automate something that should be thrown out. Because you're like, oh, this doesn't work anyways. Why am I automating this? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that we waste so much time with that we should get out of our lives, and including some people too. Like, this is that time. House cleaning.
Yeah. 100%.
So Melody, how do they get in touch with you? The folks that want to, like, step up their game, whether it be systems or YouTube.
They just need to go to my Instagram, Melody_Wilson, and you'll get tons of free stuff, but you can send me a DM on there, and then you'll see kind of that whole thing when it comes to YouTube or Enneagram or exactly what to say. Because this coming year, we're going to be putting out some exactly what to say programs and personal certifications that I'm really excited to launch. And little Canadian me will travel to the US. I mean, that's how I met you too. And come down and do personal certifications for teams to help their teams elevate to the next level as well too.
I love that. Well,
Yep.
Melody Wilson, I am super grateful that we got to hang out today here on the podcast. I hope if you like this, please subscribe, share, comment, reach out directly to Melody. She's killing it in that YouTube and systems world, and also exactly what to say certified. So Melody, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Make your day great.